This is a 1979 Topps Ozzie Smith rookie in a PSA 10. There are only 5 examples. It's a $30,000 card at auction. Lately I've been obsessed with trying to trace cards like this, trying to understand how PSA grades them, and who gets these elusive 10s. I'll say up front, I was unable to dig up any information on who submitted these 5 cards. I recreated possible submission lists and reached out to 7 collectors who I thought might have some information based on them owning adjoining cards at one time. I got nothing. This time there was no 31 PSA 10s in a row or 3 straight Ozzie 10s in a row, like I saw with the Eddie Murray 10. The closest thing to that I could find was a possible submission that had 9 PSA 9 Henderson rookies, immediately following an Ozzie 10. The card in question was from the Dmitri Young collection. More on that in a bit. In past videos, you guys have really keyed in on the condition of these PSA 10s, especially how many of them don't look like 10s. So let's go through each Ozzie Smith 10 and see if that same pattern holds. At first glance, this card seems to be centered really well, which is so unusual. But when you look closer, it looks like there's a slight tilt to it. I can see it particularly between the ribbon-like Padres graphic and the white bottom edge. It's more pronounced on the back. Look at the long top edge. Again, there's tilting of the image, and the edge itself doesn't look straight. It seems crooked, like it wasn't cut straight. If we look at the back of the card as a whole, it's not centered top to bottom. The front centering on this next card looks good at first glance, but wow, take a look at that right edge. If we flip the card over, it's more obvious. Let's look closely along this bottom edge. You can see bumps along the edge, and of course the gap is obvious. Then we have what looks like an obvious print defect here with this brown spot. And again, look at the centering of the card left to right. I would love to know who submitted this one. I'm starting to see a pattern here. The front looks pretty good, but the back tells a different story. You can see how off-center this one is too. And look at the top edge of the card. More of the peaks and valleys along the edge, and of course a gap with the slab. I showed a card from the Dmitri Young collection in the previous video on Eddie Murray. That one had a horribly off-center back and a top edge that resembled a ski slope, to quote my friend Jeff, Bowman 1951. You see any similarities with this Ozzie Smith 10? You've got the bad centering with the black border very close to the edge. But look at the top. Another ski slope. The cut isn't straight. There's more daylight on the left than the right. It looks like one of those Hostess cards I cut out of a Twinkies box in 1977. There's a noticeable gap in the right side edge too. You're going to see this come up again in some future videos. Cards from the Dmitri Young collection that appear to have multiple trimmed edges. How did Young get these cards through PSA as 10s? According to these articles on PSA's website, Young worked with a longtime dealer named Dave Bailey. In this 2004 Collectors Universe forum post, Bailey says Young was submitting up to 2,000 cards a month to grading companies. I also found Dave Bailey on the Sports Card Radio anonymous list of card trimmers. He and Dmitri Young are mentioned as being associated with Joe Tuttle. You might remember from my last video that Joe Tuttle was tied to at least 2 of the Eddie Murray PSA 10s. This card was last sold on eBay in 2010, and no images of the back of the card are available. But look at the left side near the top. It's not a straight edge, it looks angled. I wanted to wrap up this video by showing you some pictures of what normal Ozzie Smith cards look like. Here are some mid-grade examples from average collectors that have sold on eBay. They're all off-center, but notice how they fit in the slab, even the miscut ones. What do you think? Do any of these cards deserve a PSA 10 grade? What's going on with PSA's grading of this card? Stay tuned, I'm working on a huge project related to PSA submission lists that should drop within the next week. And if you like videos like this, please like, subscribe, comment, or share it online. Thanks for watching.